Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. We're back once again. More Q posts. There's absolutely zero chill. 42:26, 54 minutes after the hour of 9. We get taken back to this August 31st post where this was referencing a special approval visa for Natalia Veselnitskaya. And Q is implying that it was Loretta Lynch who left a paper trail to get her in. You may remember she was not approved for her visa, but Loretta Lynch went around, did a little bit of finagling, if you will, and got her this special hookup. This appears to be the approval code up here. The Twitter status is to Blue Sky. Judge Sullivan resides in the same court as the Fisa Court. Here he is with James Boasberg and Rosemary Collier, who both signed the Fisa warrant. Judge Contreras, Flynn's first judge, had to be removed from the case because of his personal relationship with Peter Strzok. The link is to a 2017 Reuters article. Judge presiding over Michael Flynn criminal case is recused. The U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia judge presiding over the criminal case for President Donald Trump's former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn has been recused from handling the case, a court spokeswoman said on Thursday. According to a court filing, U.S. District Court Judge Rudolph Contreras, who presided over a December 1st hearing where Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to the Federal Bureau of Investigation about his contacts with Russia, will no longer handle the case. Court spokeswoman Lisa Clem did not say why Contreras was recused and added that the case was randomly reassigned. Okay, well, you may remember it was because Contreras was personal friends with one Peter Strzok. Let me skip you down a bit here. Contreras was appointed to the bench in 2012 by former Democratic President Barack Obama. He was also appointed to the Fisa Court in May 2016 for a term lasting through 2023. That court issues warrants that allow Justice Department officials to wiretap individuals, a process that has been thrown into the spotlight amid the investigation into alleged Russian interference in the U.S. election. The second link shows you the current membership of the Fisa Court, and as you can see here at the top, James Boasberg, Rosemary Collier, Rudolph, Contreras. So he actually signed the first FISA, and he was appointed to the FISA court in May of 2016. And he was part of the subject between Strzok and Page's text, where Peter Strzok was talking about how he needed to get together with him. He was buddies with Contreras. He also visited the White House just a few weeks after Donald Trump had announced that he was running for POTUS. So it seems like he was pretty privy to this information. And although a lot of the reporting says that he recused himself in the Flynn case, he was actually recused. So it wasn't like he was doing this voluntarily. And that's what Q asks here. Judge Rudolph Contreras, current member of Fisa Court, who signed the Flynn FISA? Well, he did. He signed the first one. The swamp runs deep. So Rudolph Contreras was an Obama appointee. This shouldn't surprise you. Son of Cuban immigrants. And I would imagine that there's probably a lot of activism running in that family, just saying. But it makes me wonder if Loretta Lynch had a bit to do with this here, considering it was her approval that allowed Natalia Veselnitskaya in the country in the first place. This is what led to some of these FISA warrants. Manafort, of course, Papadopoulos, Page, and Flynn, right? This was the beginning of all this, and that's what Q is showing, that there's a paper trail here, all starting because of this special entry for Natalia Veselnitskaya. Post 4227, 23 minutes after the hour of 10, we go back to post 4017. This was from April 30th, and we were talking about the DNC. The DNC, was it hacked by Russia? CIA, Brennan Force, Seth Rich, internal, download, hand-to-hand, pass, USA, CrowdStrike code, insert. Yeah, CrowdStrike was trying to make it look like Russia hacked the DNC, but it sure looked like this was a thumb drive passed off by Seth Rich. If FBI chain of command was corrupt, what other investigations were corrupted? Who did they provide cover for? How far back did it go? And if you may remember here was a series of payments made to CrowdStrike from the DNC. And I want you to note the fourth one down there on July 11th. That was just a day after Seth Rich was murdered. The link takes you to Breitbart. Fox News' Ed Henry reported Tuesday evening that Acting Director of National Intelligence Richard Grenell has declassified information calling into question the conclusion that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump. Henry told Tucker Carlson on Tucker Carlson Tonight that the new information would suggest that John Brennan, who headed the Central Intelligence Agency under President Barack Obama, also had intel saying actually Russia wanted Hillary Clinton to win because she was a known quantity. She had been Secretary of State, and Vladimir Putin's team thought she was more malleable, while candidate Donald Trump was unpredictable. And we actually heard these words out of Artem Sitnik himself, who was part of this anti-corruption bureau out there in Ukraine. It was almost exactly what he said. All this time, they really wanted Hillary Clinton to win because she was part of this big machine, whereas Donald Trump was more for the people. Former National Security Council Chief of Staff Fred Fleitz made a similar claim in an article on Fox News April 22nd. House Intelligence Committee staff told me that after an exhaustive investigation reviewing intelligence and interviewing intelligence officers, they found that Brennan suppressed high-quality intelligence suggesting that Putin actually wanted the more predictable and malleable Clinton to win the 2016 election. Instead, the Brennan team included low-quality intelligence that failed to meet intelligence community standards to support the political claim that Russian officials wanted Trump to win. House Intelligence Committee staff revealed. They said that CIA analysts also objected to including that flawed, substandard information in the assessment. Q says Russia narrative all fake. Yeah, I would add that this was made up on purpose with malicious intent. Russia is in brackets, so I'm assuming that means we are about to squash this narrative. Let's move on to the next post because we're going to keep talking about this. Post 4228, 15 minutes after the hour of 2. This graphic shows an exchange here with an anon on 8kun that says, "Hell, sir. Q+, is it really happening? Can you tweet it? Thank you, boss." And POTUS obliges by saying our testing is the best in the world by far. Numbers are coming down in most parts of the country, which wants to open and get going again. It is happening safely. So there's your proof right there. The Twitter status is to Catherine Herridge over there at CBS. Scoop. CBS obtains Richard Grenell notification to Congress. Declassified unmasking list. Flynn between late 2016 and January 2017. Read 3 pages provided by NSA here. Q says board under heavy attack, referring to the 8kun board. And here is page 1. This might be a bit blurry here. It says below is a list of recipients who may have received, Lieutenant General Flynn's identity in response to a request processed between 8th of November. Remember these dates: 8th of November 2016 and 31st of January 2017 to unmask an identity that had been generically referred to in an NSA Foreign Intelligence report. And you can see some of the names here. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Samantha Power, who we already kind of knew about, right? James Clapper, Kelly Degnan. This is John Phillips, John Brennan, Patrick Conlon, Jacob Liu, Arthur Danny McGlynn, Mike Neufeld, Sarah Raskin, Nathan Sheets. And then we have a second page here that has a lot of redactions here, but I want to take you to the third page where you can see at the bottom, Vice President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden. Interesting indeed. Well, that might explain why the board is under attack. Here are a few tweets from Code Monkey, who handles the board over there. The bottom one there says, not going to go into details on Twitter, but loads of people have messaged me about this. We've been aware of this issue for at least 6 hours now. The middle one says there's an ongoing raid, have been deleting stuff for the past few hours. So lots going on over there, and probably because everyone's dropping it like it's hot over here with no chill. Post 4229, 38 minutes after the hour of 2, and a non-post this right here from the NSA. This is dated 4th of May, 2020, and if you'll notice, there's a stamp right next to it, D5, Memorandum for Director of National Intelligence. And this is from Paul M. Nakasone, General of the U.S. Army. I hear they've got pretty good intelligence over there. Subject, follow up, unmasking request regarding former National Security Advisor. Per your email request of 3rd of May 2020, I am providing a revised list of identities of any officials who submitted requests to the National Security Agency at any point between the 8th of November 2016, there's those dates again, and the 31st of January 2017 to unmask the identity of former National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael T. Flynn. The original list was in alphabetical order. The revised list is in chronological order, including the date the request was received, which should prove to be very telling. Now, the Anon says D5 date on the ODNI release. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what this D5 might mean. Q has referenced this D5 a bunch of times. We found a bunch of great things, and they were all pretty interesting, actually. Now, the header here says D5 equals D being the 4th letter of the alphabet, and 5 meaning the 5th month of the year being May 4th. So Q seems to be tipping this and confirming this. Q says, excellent find, Anon. They thought it meant December 5th, being the state funeral this was for George Bush, which happened on December 5th, 2018. NSA, a lot more coming soon. So Q does hat tip this and say that this is coming from the NSA, and I'd like to hat tip Lisa Mae Crowley, who was kind of thinking along the lines I was thinking as well. National Security Agency has an office, D5, Corporate Assessments Office, which very well could be where these lists came from. So good on you, Lisa May. I think that you could be right on there. Now, this could be referring to the date. Q doesn't say specifically either way. Q does mention that they thought it meant December 5th, being that state funeral. And of course, Q is acknowledging this particular graphic, so it very well could be. But I do want to point out that the original doesn't have that D5 stamp on it. That is the person that made the graphic. So whether or not Q is acknowledging the May 4th date as our D5, or if they are just acknowledging the NSA, you can let me know down below. But either way, great find by the Anon. Q says a lot more coming soon. Post 4230, 28 minutes after the hour of 3. We were just talking about remembering those dates, and now we're going to talk about them. We're going to read you the highlighted parts here. This is a little bit blurry, but this was from the request here. Below is a list of recipients, like you see here, and then these are the dates between 8th of November 2016 and the 31st of January 2017. And then that last highlighted line says this response does not include any requests outside of the specified time frame. So first of all, let's talk about the call itself, Flynn and Kislyak, that occurred on December 29th, 2016. And supposedly, that was the event that led to all this unmasking, right? Or at least that's what we were told. But here we're seeing that this first one from Samantha Power occurred on the 30th of November, 2016. And then again on the 2nd of December, 2016. Once again on the 7th of December, 2016. Again on the 14th and the 23rd. All of those occurring before the 29th, when the call actually occurred. As a matter of fact, if you go down this list, it looks like a lot of these requests occurred well before the call even happened. Almost like they were expecting this, right? And of course, on the 15th of December, also before the call, you had this from James Clapper, which was releasing a lot of raw signal intelligence. Availability procedures in accordance with Section 2.3 of Executive Order 12333. Okay, so what were they preparing for? Why was all this unmasking going on before this call even happened? Who told Flynn to make this call? Did somebody else tell him to make this call? Were they waiting for this call? And why all this unmasking beforehand? Was this to muddy the waters? Was this because they really needed to get all this information for some reason? All these people needed to be unmasked? Or were they simply trying to muddy the waters in case this ever traced back? You'd never be able to figure out where it came from. Q says pain, and then we get this post here, 3332, which is a lot like 12333. Which is the executive order from James Clapper I just showed you. Boom, week ahead. Treason doesn't pay well in the end. And Q says this is only the start. So here it is again, just another hole in their narrative, because this whole call was supposed to predicate all this other activity. It looks like all this stuff was going on beforehand. And we see more discussion on these dates in 4231, 3 minutes after the hour of 4. On the left side, you see a timeline, and on the right, you see the list of recipients. So what I want to point your attention to is just outside this box. I know it's a little bit small here, but this was December 28th, a day before the call. President Barack Obama signs an executive order announcing sanctions against Russia for trying to interfere with the 2016 presidential election. Keep in mind, that was a day before the call. Now, this that's highlighted here is talking about the December 29th date. Unmasking request predate call between General Flynn and Ambassador, collusion narrative destroyed. And that is turning your attention to the list here. So I want to take you back even further to the 30th of November 2016, and Kislyak was actually involved in this Trump Tower meeting. One of the topics that they discussed at that meeting was Syria. Oddly enough, on page 2 of what's been released today, we see that on the 15th of December, we have an unmasking request from the Chief Syria Group. How about that? Q says dates are important. FISA unmasked request prior to Ambassador Kislyak's phone call. Yeah, it seems to be the case. Who asked Ambassador Kislyak to call Flynn? Set up? Well, I would guess it could have been somebody like maybe Samantha Power. It could have been somebody even higher up, but whoever it was would have had a lot of pull. So I would think somebody like Brennan, maybe even Comey, maybe even Obama himself. But my guess would be somebody with some serious pull. But if you'll remember, on December 22nd, also before the 29th call, it was actually Jared Kushner that wanted Flynn to contact Ambassador Kislyak. Now, they wanted to use official embassy lines, but Kislyak didn't want that to happen, which suggests that somebody was already talking to Kislyak. So whether or not that's Samantha Power, John Brennan, I'm not sure yet, but we do know it was somebody with some pull, and it does seem to suggest that this was all to set up General Flynn. FBI entrap plus FISA late justify. That seems to be the case. We've said over and over that, again, that FISA abuse was essentially the cover-up of the previous spying. But whoever ordered this call from Kislyak to Flynn was evidently setting this all up, because it looked like a lot of unmasking was getting their ducks in a row. Well, it looks like we get our answer in 42:32, 14 minutes after the hour of 4. This first tweet is from Adam Housley. Adam Housley is saying, this is exactly the point. Thank you. Retweeting Tree Hugging Sister. Congrats on getting a shout out from Q. Tree Hugging Sister says, how do they explain so many of the requests being prior to the Kislyak call that supposedly was the predicate for the investigation? Just the thing I'd like to know. And Sergeant Schultz, he must have forgotten he was on the list considering what he told to George Stephanopoulos on Sunday. And the quote there, I was aware that they had asked for an investigation, but that's all I know about it, Biden said, in response to Senator Chuck Grassley's comments that he knew about moves to investigate Flynn. Q says dates are important, and then these are repeats of the tweets right here. Q says go back further. The hook. November 30th, unmasked, need justification. Who set up the meeting? Who was directing Ambassador Kislyak to make contact? Meeting plus phone. Well, I think we get our guess. Now, the article is talking about the Mueller report, and it's talking about the Trump children, Ivanka, Donald Jr., and then it goes into a little bit about Jared Kushner, which is what I want to highlight here. Among Kushner's many appearances in the report is his and Flynn's meeting with Russian ambassador to the United States, Sergei Kislyak, at Trump Tower in New York after the 2016 election. All right, well, when was that? I just told you. It was November 30th, 2016. Let's go back to some of these unmasked lists. We see that the very top of that list is Samantha Power. Her first request is from the 30th of November 2016. Probably just coincidence. Contact, meeting plus phone. That would probably explain why Kislyak didn't want to go through the official Russian embassy channels. That would explain the unmasking and the subsequent attack on General Flynn. And of course, if all of that is fraudulent, then it means the Mueller report must be fraudulent. We talk about that in 42:33, 52 minutes after the hour of 4. The link is to the Washington Examiner. We're just going to cover a little bit of this right here. Devin Nunes, criminal referrals coming from Mueller team. The top Republican on the House Intel Committee said criminal referrals are coming from members of former special counsel Robert Mueller's team who investigated Russian interference in the 2016 election. Okay, so let me stop there real quick. We just watched a video from 2017. We watched this yesterday. This was Trey Gowdy interviewing James Comey. He mentioned 6 names, and we also had an idea that there could be 6 indictments coming up. Are all these 6 names people who who did some of this unmasking, it would seem to be possible. We're looking at doing criminal referrals on the Mueller team, the Mueller dossier team, the Mueller witch hunt, whatever you want to call it. That's where we are now in our investigation. Representative Devin Nunes told Fox Nation's witch hunt. We're doing a large criminal referral on the Mueller dossier team that put together a fraudulent report that knew there was no collusion the day Mueller walked in the door, the California Republican added. They set an obstruction of justice trap. There's no doubt in my mind that we will make a conspiracy referral there. Outstanding. So that's what we want. That's what we really want to see. It just remains to be seen when it's going to be and what names it's going to include. In post 4234, 31 minutes after the hour of 5, we once again see this link to military.com highlighting the AC-130 gunship and their laser Illuminator, which suggests to me another target is about to get hit. Incoming booms, AC-130 gunship lights up the night. Post 4235, 18 minutes after the hour of 7, Q gives us a little summary for those of you who ain't trying to watch the whole dang thing now. Here's the cliff notes. The point to understand: they knowingly unmasked, attached names to after POTUS won the election of 2016. They thought they could prevent the exposure of this information and remain protected. Yeah, so they had ones before, but then they put ones after to make it look like this was kind of going on all along and to muddy the waters, and that we wouldn't really look to see where this originated. And it would also cover up making it look like POTUS was the predicate and the call to Kislyak was a predicate, and all these other things were predicates to them actually doing the investigation, when the fact of the matter is they were spying all along, and Fisa was the cover-up. They thought they could prevent the exposure of this information and remain protected. Why did they believe this? What insurance did they have? Infiltration of U.S. government? Yeah, well, that was the insurance. So much of it, they all had insurance files on them, right? And it starts to get even deeper once people understand that. That's where people like Jeffrey Epstein start to show up. These people keep insurance on all kinds of people. That's how you buy loyalty in the U.S. government, in Hollywood, in politics, in sports, in all kinds of aspects of our lives, right? This fact alone should scare every American. Shadow presidency, shadow government. It took this long for a reason. Yes, it's deep. It takes forever. It's so easy to say go in and arrest everyone. But when you look at what's going on with Judge Sullivan right now, you can see that it's not so easy, is it? Especially for somebody who was a 3-star general. It's not so easy. And that's why you can't run in guns and blazing just hoping to arrest people, because as soon as they get to that corrupt judge, it gets tossed out and you can never do it again. Makes sense? Of course it does. Let's move on. Post 4236, 50 minutes after the hour of 7, Q takes us back to post 2145 from September 10th, 2018. This said, prepare your memes. Non-NSA tech today cannot read or filter. Okay, so that's a big part of why memes are so important. First of all, it gets a big point across in the form of a picture, but it also made it difficult for a lot of tech to pick up on things. That's why if you are familiar with making memes and stuff like that, it's good to use a lot of layers, things that are harder to read if you're using Photoshop or something like that to make these memes. It makes it more difficult to detect, because if they can detect it, then they will ban it. We already know that that's going on, right? The Twitter status is to Marshall Matters, where we go on, we go all Q, who says, attention, QAnon, do this ASAP. Block anything Reuters from your Facebook and Twitter. Make it viral. The article is talking about Facebook. Facebook announces hateful memes challenge with 100,000 prize pool to identify hate speech. Wow, snitches used to get stitches, now they get 100K. Facebook is offering a massive cash payout to anyone who can build an all AI that identifies hateful memes. Okay, well, who do you think might be in charge of this? We actually talked about this some videos ago. General McChrystal, right? He announced that he was going to be running this project through Facebook. And of course, a lot of that money is likely going to come through DARPA, which is likely Facebook. Makes sense. Q says panic. So it looks like they're really going to go hard after the memes, which should really just encourage us to make more of them. Flood the internet with memes. Now, whether or not you want to block anything Reuters from your Facebook and Twitter, that's up to you. I'm not one to tell anybody what to do. That's what Marshall Matters is encouraging. Q is highlighting it, so you do what you want. Those are your Q posts for now. Until I click publish on this video. Then Q's gonna light me up like that AC-130 gunship lighting up the night with the laser Illuminator. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who do that already. My alternate links are down below if you're following me on YouTube. Yes, I am very aware that the BitChute link doesn't work. I don't know what else to do about it other than to encourage you to go to BitChute, sign up, and then just find me from there until I can fix the link. I'm not tech support, unfortunately, so I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I just have to wait until my emails get returned as well. But my alternate links are down there. My email is down there. If you would like to send me some information, please do not DM me on Twitter. Thank you very much. My P.O. box is down there if you'd like to send something old school, and my Patreon is down below if you'd like to support the channel. It's all down below in YouTube. Otherwise, you can find those links on Twitter. Thanks for watching. This is Sir Patrick Mack, and until next time, stay funky.